and say hi and see you guys all first.
Hey.
This is exciting! This is so cool!
Yes!
Okay, now I'll sit down and actually do this. I hope this isn't too dry. Yep. Yes. You can see them quite a bit. Alright, so my name is Meagan Marie. I don't know how many of you guys know me, so I'll introduce myself first. I'm currently the Community and Communications Manager at Crystal Dynamics. If you don't know what Crystal Dynamics is, the game studio, you probably know the game that we're working on. We're currently in charge of the Tomb Raider franchise. Woo! Yeah. I'm a big Tomb Raider fan, so it kind of worked out nicely. I used to be an associate editor at Game Informer magazine. I was there for three or so years. And then I studied graphic design and journalism and mass communications at University of Minnesota. I'm an avid cosplayer, gamer, and comic fan. I'm here as a cosplayer. I managed to get all the fake blood off my hands like 20 minutes before I came here. I was worried that I'd have like crazy red face for you guys. It'd be super embarrassing, but it worked out. I was dressed as San from Princess Mononoke. I look so professional. I'm happy about that. So I have a couple of, just so you guys know that I actually do cosplay since I'm not in costume. I'm plain clothes right now. A couple of my video game costumes that I've done recently. So. I'm super passionate about this topic. I'm super passionate about the game industry, so I hope this stuff, my enthusiasm comes through to you guys. I hope it's not too dry. There's a lot of information. I actually recommend just paying attention. You don't need to take notes because I have a 20-page fact that I wrote on my website, and you can read it all. It's actually more in depth than this. So this is more an opportunity for you guys to talk to me afterwards, and we can go through various scenarios and ask specific questions. So don't fret if I'm throwing a lot of information at you at once. So the disclaimer, this presentation is based off of my personal anecdotes and experiences. It's not the only route to getting into the gaming industry, nor is it a guarantee of employment. There's like a little bit of ingredients that have to be provided by you guys in order to make it in. The tips are mostly relevant to gaming press, but I do, because I'm newer to the gaming dev side, I've only been at Crystal Dynamics for about 9 months. But there's absolutely crossover to the dev side. There's also crossover to other industries, just general good tips for trying to enter the entertainment industry, whether it's maybe you want to do film or you want to do something in the anime. So there's some crossover and there's some good tips there. I'll be presenting the frequently asked questions first, and then dive into general tips and tricks. I also am going to use a lot of personal anecdotes. I really hope it doesn't make me seem super self-centered because I'm using myself as an example, but I firmly believe that if you contextualize experiences and give like a personal journey, that helps make the information slightly more digestible. So this is an important one. I cannot talk about Tomb Raider. I'm here as a cosplay rep, and I want to share some general information about the industry. I had to put that one in, so I'm sorry if I can't answer any questions about the game. I'm supposed to stay away from that topic almost entirely. And then, like I said, the full fact can be found at meaganmarie.com. I think I have the URL later, and you can always email me or whatnot if you can't find it, but it should be pretty easy. So, I wanted to poll you guys first. I wanted to have an idea of what we're looking in terms of like stations in life. So how many of you guys are currently in high school? Okay, and how many of you guys are in college? How many of you guys are established and potentially looking for a career change? Yep, all right, great. And how many of you are interested in game journalism? And what about the dev side? Yeah, that's great, this is so exciting. Okay. So, the bottom line, and I really hope this isn't discouraging, but I need to be totally honest with you guys. This industry is very difficult to break into, but it is not in any capacity impossible. So, simply loving games isn't enough. You need measurable skills to contribute to a studio or to an outlet. Passion is also paramount, and it's really, I firmly believe that passion is what's going to set you apart from the pack. So, hard work, talent, networking, and a bit of luck, with all of that, you could potentially score a dream gig in the game industry. So it's going to be a long road, but if you have the right mind frame and you have some advice, I think that it's obtainable. So starting off with my journey, so like I said, I can contextualize that a little bit. I've always loved the game industry. I've been playing games since the NES. Tomb Raider was one of my favorite games, like hugely influential on me growing up. But it ended up maturing into a love of the industry as a whole in my late teens. And I wanted to work at Game Informer since I was like 16. One day I opened my subscription and realized that the address was in Minneapolis. I'm like, that's 20 minutes from me, I'm gonna work there someday. And then I did. So But it wasn't that easy. So I made up my mind, and I set a very, very clear path for my career early on. At 16, I decided I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I opted to study graphic design and journalism and mass communications in school because I didn't know if I wanted to work in editorial or if I wanted to work in doing the layout for the magazine, so I kind of figured it would make me doubly employable. And if Game Informer didn't pan out, then I wanted to pursue a position in UI, which is user interface at a studio, or marketing, but UI just sounded like more fun if you're a designer like me. So throughout college, this is one thing that I think is extremely important. I didn't just have my career goal, I lived my passion. So I tied all of my coursework to gaming, which eventually the people in my studies with me just thought I was insane. And like, another gaming project? Another one? So like brand studies, I did a history of Nintendo timeline. And game theory, I did this fourth to win board game, like I made my own board game with my own rules. Metalworking, I made a Mario and Choco mug, which is this crazy imagination of critters, because that was the rule that we had to do for the sculpture. And then my senior ethics project, I did a video game legislation. You actually see a couple of these here. So those are the two metalworking ones up top, the history of Nintendo timeline. And then that one on the left, I made pixel by pixel. That's wow. Time. I had to take an old board game and then update it with like new rules, and so I took like the '88 Mario Brothers board game, which was really fun. And then other things, I did custom monies, and I did some free logos for Maxim Radio of all things. But I suppose they were willing to take it since I was working for free. And then on the writing front, while I was working on establishing my design portfolio, I also honed my writing skills. So what I did is I became an active community member on Destructoid.com. They have a very active community blogging section, and they will actually promote community blogs to the front page. So if your content's good enough, you get to be on the front page with the rest of the editorial staff. And it was something that was very encouraging for me. I also did a lot of work at the Girls Entertainment Network. I was an editor and an event manager. So that was another gig, totally free. Had to pay my own way to events, but I got press status at events, so I was able to get into events that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise, network, meet people, so it was very exciting. And then I also did just self-publishing on my blog, most of which I think I did on MySpace and has currently been erased, which is probably a good thing because I was a horrible writer back then. It's amazing how much you can learn and evolve over a couple of years. So again, these positions offer no pay, but they gave me that invaluable chance to network, attend events like the Game Developers Conference. I don't think I got into E3 until I was at Game Informer, but there was plenty to keep me active as long as I could keep affording the airfare. So Game Informer application number 1. So I did not get the job the first time. Ben Reeves did. He's awesome, and he's still at Game Informer. So I applied to Game Informer my sophomore year of college. I had actually made friends with one of the editors on MySpace because I wrote a really arrogant title. You know how MySpace has a little tagline underneath? Mine said Future Game Informer Editor. And so he saw me and contacted me and we talked a bit. And then they told me that, we have an editor position open, why don't you try applying? So I stayed up all night and I reviewed Dirge of Cerberus. I played it all in one sitting. And then reviewed it because that's a great idea. You should stay up. You should really stay up. I liked that game. I think I gave it an 8. What? I think I might have just been Final Fantasy 7. I learned to be a little bit more discerning later on. So I stayed up all night reviewing it. I sent it in. I sent in my resume. Oh, I put a cat on my resume. Don't do that. And I sent it to everybody in the office. It was embarrassing. I tried to find it for you guys. But I was trying to be personable and needed to rein it in a little bit. More on that later. So I was called by the editor-in-chief, Andy McNamara, at school during my classes. My heart was in my throat. He told me that he wouldn't take me out of school. And he told me to apply again once I graduated. And that seriously broke my heart. I thought that, I got the editor-in-chief of Game Informer on the phone, and he told me no. And I felt like that was my shot. I knew exactly what I wanted. There's no way that 2 years is so far away, so I was genuinely devastated. But now looking back, it was probably one of the best things that I did, waiting, because I needed to finish my schooling. I had so much more time to hone my writing skills, and I think I really would have regretted not finishing my degree. So it worked out, and after I got over that initial devastation, I kind of pushed myself a little bit harder, so it worked out in the end. So for the next 2 years, I continued to write, design, and network. So I graduated in 2007 with a solid GPA, a portfolio full of work, unpaid industry experience, and a personal connection to Game Informer. So I applied again the day I graduated, literally the day I graduated. And I didn't hear back for a month, despite following up regularly, which is about once a week. That's the threshold you want to before you turn into like that annoying person they don't want to hire. So I finally got Andy on the phone, and he told me that there wasn't a position open at the moment. And I basically said, let me come into the office anyway. Let me meet you. Can I come in for an informational interview? Which is just basically, I want to meet you. I want to meet your staff. I want to be the person that you think of next time a position is open. So I came in and it went fantastic, but still nothing for another couple of months. And I started to fret quite a bit. So I prepared my portfolio, and I was going to head out to the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco and do the job fair there. And I called Andy and I left him a message saying, I'm going to the job fair. Oh no, it was actually right after GDC, because I met with a couple of companies that were interested in using me for UI, like I think PopCap. I interviewed with PopCap. And I told them, I'm like, I'm going to start pursuing these leads. And then they called me and they said, we'll hire you. They actually don't think even then they had a position for me. But I think the point is that I proved to be someone that they wanted to have on the staff, and so they just kind of found something, and it ended up, they needed me just a couple months later, so it's not like I was sitting on my hands, but there's some value in that. So the takeaways from that is that securing a job wasn't easy. It was like pretty much a 4-year journey. Well, I mean, I'd wanted to work there since I was 16, so I'd like been building myself as a character since then. You have to pay your dues, you have to put in your time, you may have to do a little work for free, take what you can get in terms of opportunities to network. Don't give up in the face of rejection, because it happens to everyone, and it will happen time and time again. You need to use those hurdles as a learning opportunity and be persistent and have clear goals and constantly network and build relationships. I'll touch on this more later, but networking is literally the most important thing you can do to get a job in the industry, right? Bar none, which is sort of depressing sometimes, because you have to have a strong portfolio, you have to be determined and passionate, intelligent, good at your job, but networking, getting yourself in front of people is absolutely imperative. So we'll go on to the facts. This is one of the most common questions that I'm asked, is what was it like to work at Game Informer, and I think that if you're interested in getting to Game Press, it's extremely important that you understand what you'd be doing on a daily basis, because then you can start to hone those skills better. So, no 2 days are alike, and I'm pretty sure that this is the way it is at any press outlet. You will never have a 2 days alike, because you can't forecast what's going to happen that day. You know, all of a sudden I remember one day there was a huge rumor about Nintendo that broke up. All my workload went on the back burner, and I had to start calling different companies and seeing how they were responding to this rumor, and you just really never know what's going to happen. So Game Informer is not a perfect case study, because it's actually one of the rare examples of print and online publishing, and now they have the website, they have the digital magazine and the print magazine, which actually all three need different content, so it's a very intense job. But so because of that, I had a lot of hourly deadlines, and then daily deadlines, and then also monthly deadlines. So time management is absolutely essential when you work in Games Press. The daily tasks involved email correspondence, editorial meetings. I did a lot of news writing. I was one of the early risers. Everybody else worked from 10 to 7, and I hated that. So I volunteered to work from 8 to 5, and that meant that I had to do 4 hours of news every morning, no matter what. So that was kind of my beat for a while. I did a lot of original features. That's one thing that I enjoyed. And you have previews, interviews, reviews, and the community engagement. And the less common tasks would be, because I did have the design background, they'd ask me to do some editorial design, proof magazine pages. Well, everybody had to proof magazine pages. We'd print them all out, and everybody'd sit there with a red marker for 2 or 3 days when we were trying to get the book closed. And then I also did some video editing and podcasting. Continued, so travel was by far one of the biggest perks. It is absolutely one of the coolest perks of Games Press. Shows that I got to go to were E3, the Tokyo Game Show, Gamescom in Germany, and PAX. But events are also, without a doubt, the most stressful thing you can do in this job. Because events mean new game announcements, which means you have to wrap your head around this new project extremely quickly and then turn out something about it in a timely manner and still maintain, you know, that level of quality that you want to have attached to your name. It also means new preview codes, so unseen segments of games, interviews, exclusive interview opportunities, and again, you have to turn them around really quickly because you want to be the first one to press with this exciting new interview and maybe that nice pull quote that you want to push. Running between appointments, working through meals, and getting no sleep are pretty much par for course at events. So that's something to be prepared for. But it's totally, absolutely worth it to be essentially on the front lines of innovation and meeting people who are changing the landscape of game design. So it's really exciting. And there's a couple of photos from different events. We have BlizzCon and then E3.